so we won't forget.
All right. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Mental Health Hub's edition and observance of Women's History Month. We're focusing on true championship. Our guest today is Dr. Lacrecia Dangerfield. Now, I'm not going to say a whole lot about her. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but we're going to talk about how we became aware of Women's History Month and what we know about it, and also some influential women in our lives. We're going to do what it says to do. Now, maybe you're not familiar, but I tell you, if you Google and look up all of the awarenesses, it will say a lot about Women's History Month and also International Women's Day. So, welcome, Dr. Dangerfield.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
That's that's great. That's great.
It's
That's
a
great.
good rainy day.
And I guess we need it. It seems like it's been raining lately a lot, but hey, we need it.
Yes,
We need it.
yes. So, oh my goodness, thank you for saying that you would be on today. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You know, there's few people that I'll do anything for, and you're one of those people. That means I
you,
trust you. I know you're not gonna have just be out here having me out here doing just anything. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, Dr. Dangerfield, tell the people, well, first of all, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do in this space, who you are, who you represent.
who is Dr. Lacrecia Dangerfield? That's a question I ask myself quite often. But I am a licensed professional counselor with the mental health service provider designee here in the state of Tennessee. So I wear multiple hats in that area. So number one, as a licensed professional counselor, I do have a private practice where I see women leaders who are working through relationship issues, and usually it's the relationship with self, and it's like their relationship with themselves, helping them to connect to their spiritual self so that they can have a more relationship with the God of their understanding of who they see God as, and then also their relationship with other people at work, in their community, in their family. So helping to bring that whole stream of relationship together, and then also looking at what if there's some anxiety, depression, because a lot of times it looks different for women of color, and so
Yeah,
helping just
yeah.
to hold space for those women leaders, that's what I do as the counselor over here as the counselor. And then other work that I do is I work with other mental health professionals, especially other therapists who are seeking to get licensed, and also who wants to build their own brand and identity to kind of show up authentically in who they are and to pursue the calling that's on their lives. Because I truly believe that coming into the space of a healer as a counselor, you had to be called into it, because most people don't just raise their hand and say, "Hey, pick me, pick me,"
Right,
to be a
right.
counselor. And I work, sometimes I look at us as unsung heroes. A lot of times it's because we don't get that notoriety if we were an entertainer or someone like that. But we
Right.
are doing work, healing work, helping people that if they didn't take care of their mental health, then it would be a whole different situation. So helping to support other mental health counselors in the work that they're called to do, and have help them to have influence and impact in their community. And then my last piece that I say do is actually I teach. I'm an adjunct professor for university out of Canada, teaching master level counselor psychology students, and it's such a diversity. So giving back to our profession is something that I do, plus working with the community and the masses for the people that I've been called to serve.
Wow. See, now I knew some of that and I learned some things today, but I tell you, you are correct. You are accurate. It is a calling in and not just a joining in
Yes, it's a
kind of a
call. It's
thing.
like, come on, hey. I'm calling you to do this work. It's like,
That's
oh, okay.
it will be another choice.
Right. Because I always laugh. I was like, I was called into this. I was not looking for counseling. I was not looking for mental health. That was the furthest thing from my mind until I got that nudge, that tap, that hey, you over there, this is what your life calling is about. And I'm like, oh, okay. You sure?
Wow.
You sure?
You sh- Look, have you ever tried to throw the towel in
Oh,
and
oh,
it get tossed right back to you?
yes,
That,
yes,
that.
yes. I'm like, I can go do something else. I can find something else to do. It's like, yeah, that was my story in 2020. I had I had I had quit. I had quit. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And God was like, that's what you think. And
Mm,
then
mm,
what we
mm.
had, we had the pandemic, right before
The
the
pandemic.
pandemic. He showed me like all the people that I had worked with, helping them on their journey. He was like, those are people you called to. I'm like, but I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna give all this up. Pandemic came, he was like, that's why you still here, because I need you to help them in this process, because we had
That's
never
right.
seen it before.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, let's get out here and see what we gonna do and how we can serve these people, because people needed us, and they most definitely still need us today.
That's right. That's right. You're helping to navigate
Mhm.
and help people show up, right, as their
Yes.
authentic selves. I am a recipient
Yes.
of that, and I tell you, it is an experience.
Yeah.
I say that all the time
Mhm.
because I, oh goodness, probably, let's see, September. So it was about September 2023. I was like, okay, I've been doing this a little while. Uh, Look, I got my branding together, Dr. Dangerfield. She done, but wait a minute, we gonna switch this up. And I tell
Okay.
you, it was nothing. It was a detour, but oh
Hmm.
goodness, it was the wrong direction. It
Hmm.
was just, you know,
Yeah,
look,
because you're
getting
called to
off
this.
the
Yeah, you're called to
call
this.
to it.
You ca- because you are the face. I remember when we had that conversation. You are the face of the Jackson Impact. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, so where's the face go, right?
right. The face
Can't
cannot
leave the
leave.
body.
Right. Where'd you think you were going?
So I tell you, even without knowing all of the people that you worked with, now I can say I bump into people and they know who you are. They have been connected either by a class, a workshop,
Mhm.
supervision, a colleague in the field. Your name, it reigns. And so I actually did an interview for Women's History Month last year, and
Mhm.
you were one of my influential people
Oh.
that I named and I shared. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna turn this around and we're gonna give back and do the same. So
Mhm.
you are a champion. All that you described definitely is a calling. And the moment you even shift a different direction, it impacts all of the people that are connected to you that you don't even know. So, and I'm like, listen to me. Better think about that for myself.
I know. Sometimes we say stuff to other people, be like, ah, that's for you. That's you need to
Oh,
hold
that
on
was
to
for
that
me.
message. Right. You need to
That
hold
was
on
for
to that
me.
message. Stick a pin right there. Come back and revisit.
Yes. So I appreciate all you do in the field and just want to hear a little bit from you. So, when did you learn about Women's History Month?
It's been for me, it's been a few years. And I want to say that the way that I learned about it was actually from she's actually was my dissertation chair, Dr. Marisa White. And she shared on her page one day about International Women's Day. And I think maybe she had participated in a walk, or and she just started sharing facts. And I was like, oh, I didn't know about this. So start doing my own research. And so each year I remember that like there's a day in March that's International Women's Day, which is the 8th. And
Hmm.
then I said, and then it expanded to the month. And each year I look up the theme, whatever the theme is, and I try to do something to participate in that theme. And so this year's theme is advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we know that a lot of times people look at when they look at DEI, they're always thinking about it maybe some from a race perspective, but actually
Hmm.
it's also from a gender
Yeah,
perspective, ageism, making sure that women like we've impacted history, but we've been fighting and like even though we're saying what's the history of women for Women's History Month, it's looking at equality, like women's
yeah,
suffrage, voting, making sure women have the right
yeah,
to do things. So we're looking at that. So it's like, oh, okay. So there's a month out there to celebrate, to call out women who have impacted, influenced our history,
yeah,
and making it
absolutely.
and being able to make that known.
Absolutely. I was thinking, I was not aware of Women's History Month until I got in the field, but I actually
Hmm.
have to back up. I was not aware until I started my own practice, right?
Okay.
So I felt like I learned so much more about all of the awarenesses in the
Hmm.
different months, and this is coming up
Yeah.
and that's coming up. And just thinking about Women's History Month being displayed on social media, you see so many different fields, a
Hmm.
variety of different awarenesses and contributions.
Yes.
So, what I saw more of was highlighting how women should receive equal pay,
Yes.
how they would show up in business.
Hmm.
And that piqued my interest, especially becoming um, a new entrepreneur. I was like,
Yes.
oh, wait a minute, let me make
Hmm.
sure that I'm aware of what this is all about. And so all of the contributions came into play because, we're ending Black
Black
History
History
Month. So
Month.
I think about even the inventions, even the
Yes.
presence, and just how women contribute to the U.S.
Hmm.
overall. So, yeah, good thing to share because there are still people who are unaware.
Yes, there are. I
Hmm.
don't know if they're not paying attention or it's like they never taking it into consideration.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I want to ask you, who would you name as an influential woman in your life and tell us why?
Hmm. I know this is probably cliche, but somebody it's two people that like have like probably formed the way I think and the way I show up for like as a woman, women's empowerment. The first person I have to say is Susan Taylor, which she was the editor-in-chief for Essence magazine. I have been
Okay.
a Susan Taylor fan for years. Um, she she would write articles and she was always talking about how to show up as a woman, how to support women, how to bring those things to the forefront. And I was like, the first time I ever read her, I guess it was her commentary in the back of or the back of front of Essence magazine. It was In the Spirit, and she would
Hmm.
write these it was almost like notes, but she would always talk about her own experience, but also the experience of women. And I would every month I get my Essence magazine, and I'll be like, what she say this month? What she say this month? And so that's my first person. And then there's so many other women that I could say. But then Oprah Winfrey. I've been an Oprah fan. You
I
have
knew that one for you.
yes, I'm a Oprah Winfrey fan. I enjoy the work that she does because she's another person that wants you to live your best life by showing up, by being the best that you can be.
Yeah.
And so and like her mantra, her motto, both of their like are similar to mine. So those are my two, like if we had to say on a large scale, influential people that's impacted. But like there's some local individuals that I'm like, oh, one was my mom. If it wa-
Mhm.
if it wasn't for if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be who I am today. Because she gave birth, but
Yeah.
also her courage and her walk. And she always was a giver. She always championed for the individual that didn't have. So she taught my
Awesome.
sisters and I to do the thing. Like sometimes we have bleeding hearts. Like, oh, we hear a sad story. Oh, how can we help? Oh, what can we do?
Oh,
You know. So, but yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And you know what? I love to hear you share about how your mom encouraged you take care of your hair, take care of them nails first. The
Oh,
bills will always be there.
she was a self
And
she was a self-care expert before we started talking about
self-care,
self-care.
self-care queen. When I see that, my heart smiles because
Mhm.
so many people don't instill that in their daughters or in
Yes.
their family to take care of themselves. And we've learned it's one
Hmm.
thing to embrace self-care and even know
Hmm.
the difference between
Yes.
self-care and then just taking care of yourself and
Yeah.
doing the basics and going
Hmm.
along and burn out and all of
All
that.
that. Yep.
So it's important. It's important. Now, the first one with Essence, I was thinking, is it your soror? That's your
You know.
soror, isn't it? Is she?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, it's a funny story behind that too. Is when I was in college, she was pivotal in me selecting to become a Delta. It was because
Okay.
they invited her to campus. And I attended the event and I was like, oh, I was like, anybody that's Susan Taylor, the
Honey, you,
next
you
whip,
said we're going to be connected,
I need
huh?
to connect with this.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay. And Oprah Winfrey, when I hear her and just kind of see,
Mhm.
where she has grown
Yes,
from,
yes.
knowing that she is what I would call for us a homegirl, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. From
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I
Yep.
remember Dad's barbershop.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
almost like she is not necessarily that untouchable person. She's
No,
so,
it makes it
relatable.
more
So,
relatable. Yes.
I'm like, yes, I remember that the old barbershop.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. For me, I always say Lisa Nichols,
Oh
as
yeah.
far as
Okay. Mm-hmm.
motivational speaker. I was impacted by her story
Yes. Her
of
story is rich.
when she first started her business, how she scaled down to renting a room out of
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's apartment. They were
Yep.
a smoker. She wasn't. She was using her closet to sort her
So
files,
yeah.
and where she was down to a minimal amount of cash in
Mm-hmm.
her checking
Check
account to the
account.
point where
Yes.
it was not even enough to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
Was taking care of her son as the single mom, did
Yep.
what she had to do, was making, getting her accounts, making the money,
Mm-hmm.
investing, didn't even know what she had in the
And it's
bank.
bank right. Yes. I love to hear
And
her tell it.
just the
Mm-hmm.
whole level of struggle, just the whole
Mm-hmm.
level of what she had to go through, and she still pressed through it
Yes.
all.
Mm-hmm.
And now is motivating the masses.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I love to hear her
Yep.
tell her story.
Yep.
And it's one of those kind of like you said, the bleeding heart. When she tells it, she tears up every time
Mm-hmm.
because it's so real in that
Yes.
moment. And
Mm-hmm.
just to and to see that walk, to hear that journey and the appreciation and knowing again that she's contributed
Yes.
and planted in so many other people's lives. And
Mm-hmm.
just, hey, I'm your sister in
Yes.
the journey. I'm your sister moving forward. And just that belief that other women
Mm-hmm.
can do the same thing.
Yep.
So she would be one of mine. I'm like
Yep.
you, I could think for several.
Mm-hmm.
So Okay. So with this theme within the mental health hub is true championship. How would you describe a champion? What's a champion?
For me, it's more than a person winning an award. It is a champion for me is somebody um that undergirds, support, motivates, empowers those that are that's coming along. So it may be an issue that impacts our mental health system, but they're out there leading the charge of like,
Mm,
hey, let's get this done. Let's make these changes. Let's how can we support? So it's like out there like going for a cause that maybe every that's not popular,
yeah,
because a lot of times we may think of a champion, oh, that's the person who won the fight.
right.
But a champion is somebody out there that sometimes is still in the trenches trying to win the fight.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
And I thought of both sides of what you just
Mhm,
described. The winner, the champion,
mhm,
the one that pulled through, the one that came in first, but it is the one that
mhm,
had to scratch and
mhm.
scramble and make a way in the trenches and then having to figure some things
It's
out,
out.
having to
Yes. Mhm,
display a level of resilience. And
mhm.
I often say that for those people and for those of us who show up as resilient, that means you had to overcome
Yes.
some hard times. You had to overcome some struggles. So, and I see that as a champion, someone
Mhm,
even advocating for those
mhm.
who need a way made, who
Yes.
are looking for a way of escape. So, yeah, ladies, you are a champion. Maybe
Yes.
you don't know that yet.
But you are.
Maybe you're still growing. Maybe you're still going even through certain situations, but you are a
Mhm.
champion. You can make it.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of
Mhm.
women this month showing up in so many different ways, sharing the
Yes.
accomplishments and achievements of other women, and you can do the same.
Yes, it because I always look at like when people say history, they always because I was like people think about history, they think about, oh, that happened back in 1960. That was history. I look at it like this.
Right.
Yesterday was history.
That's right. Yesterday was
That was
history.
history. So every day, and want to say that to the women, it's like every day that you show up, you're creating history. It's your history. You're creating that path to go forward. So yesterday you created history. Today you're gonna do something else to create history, and going forward. So yeah, just continue to show up for yourself.
Yes. Show up for yourself. In that process, you may not
Mhm.
know it, but you're also showing up for somebody else.
Somebody else.
Somebody's always watching,
They
right?
sh- they sure are.
Somebody's always watching. And it's not the ones that are lurking, it's those that are inspired
Mm-hmm.
by what you do, by your comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Even I'm learning that even failure is
Success.
a part of the road to success.
Yeah.
Exactly. You see how hard it was for me to say that?
Hmm. It's
'Cause
it's
I'm
success
telling you,
because you keep showing up.
keep showing up. That's
Hmm.
right. And you learn from that. If
Hmm.
you don't have the opportunity, or if you're not put in a position for something to not go your way, how are you going to learn from it?
Yeah,
How are you going to learn from
that's
that?
it.
So, oh my goodness, I want to ask you this. This gives you the opportunity to big and bold, brag on yourself. Tell us how you, Dr. Dangerfield, tell us how you're a champion.
Oh, ooh. It's always a challenge when you have to brag on yourself. But
Hmm.
I can say that I like every day getting up and facing the world as an entrepreneur, as a mental health professional, as someone who like lost both of their parents in like in a short period of time. But being able to
Yeah,
still get up and show up for not only myself but for other people. And I would say most definitely I'm a champion for other mental health professionals, especially black and brown.
yeah,
I'm a ride for y'all. Hey, let somebody come after you. I'll be like, no. I'm like, because
that's right.
it's my heart, it's my passion. It's and also for women of color. I'm
Yeah,
a champion, always wanting to empower, always wanting to see us win, regardless. But just like I said, getting up every day and just showing up as
yeah,
my authentic self and not falling back into like that whole like I have to show up like the world wants me to. Mm-mm. I'm gonna show. I get up every day with this whole thing is I'm gonna be who I am,
yes.
and then I call everybody else to be who they are. If you showing up inauthentic, I'm gonna say, you know that ain't you.
Hmm,
Why you hiding behind it? I need you to show up as yourself because the world needs to see you. And I
right.
also need also the other piece is I champion for people to align with their purpose because I believe if you connect who you are to what you were created to do, then we could transform and shift the world.
That's right. You will be unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah. So
Hmm.
getting people to do that, but how I show up, as being myself, but also for other people. I want people to be the best iteration of who they are.
That's awesome. That's important. And wow, it's not easy
Mm-mm.
to say who you are, what you do, what you represent. And isn't that a journey? Isn't that a
Oh,
growth journey in
oh yeah.
itself?
Oh yeah. Because
Oh
it's
my goodness.
it's
Just
easier to
listening to you, I'm like, man, honey, she been in the trenches. She
yeah.
learned because it's a learning process.
It is. It's most definitely a learning process because a lot of times it's easy to conform because you have examples of what it looks like to be somebody else, but it's harder to show up as yourself because you trying to figure that out every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it gets camouflaged
Yes.
between the many hats.
Yes, that you have to wear.
Yeah, oh goodness, we think it's what we do. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm the mama,
No.
I'm the teacher,
Hmm.
I'm the wife, I'm all these other
Hmm.
things, and who you are and what that purpose is can often get camouflaged. So I'm appreciative of all that you've shared. I'm appreciative of this awareness, and sometimes it overlaps other things that are taking place.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Also, just uh, for those of you who may or may not know, Dr. Dangerfield said it, but there's the International Women's Day on March 8th. Make sure you stay tuned, check out the media platforms, get
Hmm.
involved. There is a theme, right? It includes that equity, that diversity,
Hmm.
and inclusion, also advocacy. And that
Yes.
really impacted why I pulled that theme, true championship.
Hmm.
True championship, a person who fights or argues for a cause
Yes.
or on the behalf of
Mhm.
someone else. And usually it's someone else who is deserving
Yes.
of a level of support, who's
Hmm.
deserving um, to of that push, you know? So women, we are standing up. There
Yes.
are other ladies out here, even in this mental health
Hmm.
field, standing up so that you
Hmm.
can be represented, standing up so that you have representation and
Yes.
people who have walked in places that you want to go. So um, again, I'm grateful that Dr. Dangerfield has joined us and shared her experiences with us and the people who have influenced her life and why. And I'm sure there's just, not even I'm sure, I know there's so many more volumes to that. So if you have questions, please drop them in the comments below on wherever this is posted media wise. Drop any questions for her. And also, we're going to let her tell us how we can make contact with her moving forward.
Well, you can find you can find me on I really like do Instagram, where my Instagram handle is I am Dr. Dangerfield. That's where I post a lot of information. I'm on Facebook, some Dr. Lacrecia Dangerfield. The other piece, LinkedIn, Dr. Lacrecia Dangerfield. My website is drdangerfield.com. And the other piece is I can't let this 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 go by is I have a YouTube page where I uh co-host a show called Brown Girl Banter, which is Brown Girl, which is one word, and then space banter with Dr. Patience Ruffin. And we actually have an episode that comes out on Tuesday talking about where we're interviewing a mental health clinician, Ashley Hampton. And what she does is how she's serving marginalized individuals from the LGBTQ plus community plus of people of color, BIPOC people.
Okay.
So she does work with them, but she talks about how her agency helps to support the marginalized community. So check us out, subscribe. We have something every month that, you get to hear our laughter, our banter.
Our banter. Yep. Yep. I have already um I've already checked out one of the clips, and I tell you, I have to be honest, because I follow Brown Girl Banter
Uh-huh.
on Instagram. And then from one of my accounts, it's so interesting. You can subscribe from one and the other, it has to be a
Mhm.
different sign in or something,
Yeah.
or either I'm just not tech savvy. So I do follow it on YouTube as well. So when
Mhm.
I saw this green sweater pop up, I was like, oh, that's a new episode.
Yep. That's
Dr. Patience has on a green sweater, but I
what.
listened to it and I think it was the introduction. So I encourage listeners, viewers, to go and follow. There's really the banter is just candid. It's real
Hmm.
life,
Yep.
what's happening, the catch up, the updates,
Oh yeah.
and and then the guests. Yeah, I like that. I like
Oh,
that. I said
oh yeah,
these
because
two, but
because we do a hot topics. We
mhm.
and then you never know what the hot topic is gonna be about before whatever the segment is that we use. We try to, be okay with our guests when our guests are on there. But the conversation between Dr. Patience and I is and the bloopers are hilarious.
Uh-huh. Those are what I call the sister girl conversations.
Yes, yes.
So awesome. Well, I am excited and I'm just glad that we had the opportunity to make this happen today.
Yes.
In observance of Women's History
Hmm.
Month, I plan to show up with another guest each Wednesday
Okay.
throughout the month
Cool.
and just to learn and give other women the opportunity to show up.
Hmm.
So if you
Yes.
are not following Jackson Impact on Facebook or the Jackson Impact on Instagram, do so. Go and follow us.
Hmm.
Also, even more than that, we are working to broaden
Hmm.
and provide lots of different mental health resources on a regular basis in the Jackson Impact Mental Health Hub. Now, that is a private group because sometimes people have some very private, intimate
Yes.
questions that they want to ask, and I want them
Hmm.
to feel free to do
To
so.
do it. Yes.
There are a lot of people who are taking the private groups to public, and I'm just not ready yet. But
Mhm.
I tell you, it's the best mental health hub.
It
Every
is.
Friday, you get a tool, a tip, a
Mm-hmm.
technique that's going to help you minimize stress, anxiety, and just get in touch with your body, who you
Yeah.
are. There are some things that may touch you in terms of self care, spiritually, the whole total person. So, I often say that therapy, mental health in general, is a very spiritual experience. And it is.
It
It
is.
is. It is.
It is.
So join us in the hub. We're glad that you were able to listen in today. Leave us some comments and questions. We'll get back to you. And hey, I'm Angela T. Jackson. I'm the face of the Jackson Impact, and this is all about true championship. Happy Women's History Month.